Hello, everybody. I thought I was live. Hello, everybody. I thought I was live, but it didn't look like I was live, so I had to kind of reset things, so I apologize for that. If you're here, please say hi as always. When we do Facebook Lives, the host can only see the number of people watching. Unless you say hi, they can't see who's watching. So I didn't get to add a title, but I will at the end. Hi, Helen. Happy belated birthday. Hey, Julianne. We'll just wait another few minutes for people to hop on and say hi. So I can see there's 6 viewers. Lisa, hi. Leanne, hi. Are you guys watching driving home? I'm assuming you are. Um, so wait another few minutes. This is going to be a good class because fasting is something I'm passionate about, and there's some misunderstandings out there that I hope to help people understand. By no sense am I the absolute expert on stuff like this, but I'm going to teach you what I know and what I've discovered over the years. So hopefully it helps fill in some gaps, and then you guys can ask me some questions at the end. We'll just wait another minute or two for people to get on. How is everyone doing? This weather is crazy. Like, it's amazing, but it's crazy to be this warm in the middle of October. Like, I am sweating. I am sweating now. The only way to stay cool is to fast, but I didn't fast today. Watching from the parking. Hi, Samantha. Thank you. I think there's a few other people who are like listening while driving and listening while walking and stuff. So let's get into this fasting. At the end, I will upload a fasting variations PDF into the group, like into the main biohacking group for everyone, even people who didn't attend. And then you can print that off or save it somewhere. It's just a nice reference point to have. Again, because there's so much information out there that when people try to Google all the answers, you get answers from here, there, everywhere, and it can get very confusing. And I've always said part of my job is just filtering through a lot of that. Hi, Dara. I still need to respond to you, I think, Dara. So, okay, fasting. Well, what do we know about fasting? Fasting has been practiced for thousands and thousands of years. From Moses to Elijah to even Jesus, they all fasted. And fasting is still practiced through many, many religions, even though it's became more of a practice in the health religion over the last couple of years. It's always been practiced throughout Christianity, Judaism, all the different religions practice fasting. So it's nothing new. It's just there's different variations of fasting, and depending what your goals are, that's going to influence how you're going to pick the type of fast that you're going to do. But there's also some tips and tricks as well to fasting that people might not know about. Now, if you're taking notes, there's going to be a couple of things that you should write down that are going to be important. Hi, Margie. It's nice to meet you. Allison, hi. So there's the next few sentences people might want to take note of. So the first thing is, the real magic of fasting happens when you eat. That's very important to understand. In your feeding window, you cannot just eat whatever you want and expect to have all the magic of fasting. So all of this magic that we've heard about cellular autophagy, so basically clean up, repair, the cleaning out of dead cells, helping healthy cells to be more resilient, the anti-aging benefits, anti-cancer benefits, fat burning benefits, regeneration benefits, all of the good stuff you've heard about fasting. It really only happens when you pay attention to your nutrition as well. So you can't eat pizza and donuts all day and then just say, well, I'm going to fast for 12 to 16 hours and it'll be amazing. No, it won't. Your body will literally say, what the hell is going on here? Like, it might just shut down altogether. So you have to be conscious of that. The magic of fasting does happen when we eat. Fasting is great for giving us structure, and when it's done correctly, it can help really well to rebalance hormones and fast. Now, fasting needs to be done, like I said, alongside a good nutritional template to experience optimal results, especially when you come to rebalancing hormones. If you're trying to rebalance hormones and you're eating pizza and donuts in your feeding window, you're definitely not going to rebalance hormones. Like, there has to be a good template. And I say template because that means, like, you may not necessarily be following what I recommend. You may be following an autoimmune template, or maybe you're following a vegan template, or paleo, or whatever you're following. It does need to be a good template for you to get these optimal results when you fast. So that's where, if you want to rebalance hormones, if you want to make sure you're growing really strong and lean muscle and optimizing regeneration in your body, you have to give your body like the nutrition or the tools, the hammer and nails it needs to use and work with you when you're fasting. Basically, if you don't give it the tools, it's like trying to build a house. I can't build a house if I don't have any tools. It's the same idea with fasting. So that's where the feeding window is very important there. The focus should always be nutrition, and then your fast is a complement to that. Another thing I want people to take away, and please don't hate me for saying this, but it's true, and I've mentioned it a couple of times in videos recently. The idea of intermittent fasting, shall we call it, that's 16-8, where you fast for 16 hours and you eat in 8 hours. It's great. It's great for giving people structure. Most people don't have structure in their days. Most people, it's a mess. It's like here, there, everywhere, running around, eat when I can, blah, blah, blah. So fasting or intermittent fasting, or the 16-8 feeding window, which I term as time restricted feeding, or it can be an early feeding window, which is EFW, or early restricted feeding, ERF. Like, there's a couple of different names. But this 16-8 window, although it gets termed intermittent fasting, is technically not a fast. It's not too far off what people were already doing. So I prefer to call it time restricted eating, and you're just keeping people in this window, this feeding window, and then giving them structure. But most people, before they do something that they would say, oh, I'm doing a 16-8, so not eating for 16 hours and eating in 8 hours, it's not too far off what people are already doing. Like, if you're sleeping 8 hours a night, a lot of people maybe are not eating for the first 2 hours, then they wake up, and maybe not eating for the last hour before bed, which is kind of common. So you're already in around that 12-hour mark of not eating. So that 16-8, it's more time restricted eating than it is considered like a real fast. It's once you get kind of past the 18 hours, 20 hours, that's where we would consider it more of a fast, if that makes sense. By all means, call it intermittent fasting if you like. But I'm just saying, technically, it's not considered fasting. It's more time restricted feeding. Oh, let's see who else is with us so far. Hi Jackie, watching from the waiting room. I hope your dad's doing really well. So let me just pull up all these different variations. By all means, if you have questions as we go on, post them below, and then towards the end I will respond to them as we're going along. So we have all these different variations, but there's different tips and tricks, and I'm going to go through the variations first, and then we'll go through the more details of like the Daniel fast I want to talk about. Not a lot of people well, maybe you're aware of it. I want to kind of discuss dirty fasting versus clean fasting, then some fasting negatives, how to break a fast, and then we'll look at whatever questions pop up as well. So the fasting variations, and I'm going to share this PDF with you all once the call or the class is done. So we have the 16-8, which I just mentioned. You might also hear that be referred to as the lean gains fast. And again, that's limiting your eating to 8 hours. So if you start eating at 10 a.m., you're done eating at 6 p.m. That doesn't mean that you start your last meal at 6 p.m. It means your last calorie consumption is done at 6 p.m. And that's important for people to understand. It's your last calorie consumption. So a lot of my clients will know if I'm asking if they're maybe doing a warrior fast or something, I'll say, okay, what was your last calorie consumption yesterday? Because if you say to some people, what time did you stop eating at? They might say 6. But then when you do a little bit more digging, they're like, well, I had my last sup of wine at like 9 p.m. Well, then that's your last calorie, the 9 p.m. Just because you stopped eating at 6, you were still ingesting calories. So that's important to understand. So the 16-8 can be called the lean gains fast. Then we have another quite popular one, and really I think this started the trend a couple of years ago, which is the 5-2 fast, and that also known as the fast diet. There's a book titled The Fast Diet. I can't remember the guy's name, Mark something or other. He's a British guy, and this calls for you to restrict your calories to 500 calories 2 days a week. And actually, I don't think this is too hard for a lot of people, because you're getting your normal calories on the other days, but 2 days a week, maybe you know Tuesday and Thursday are your busiest days and you're running around all day, and then you're home for that last meal, your dinner, and you can have your whole 500 calories there and feel satisfied. As long, of course, as the nutrition is there, that's very important. But that's the 5-2 fast. So 5 days a week, you've got your normal calories, and then 2 days a week, you're at 500 calories for women, and it's 600 calories for men. You can actually get a lot of food in for that amount if you're really smart. But it might be like one donut if you do something silly like that. So then we have alternate day fasting. Alternate day fasting has been shown to be quite beneficial to women in their 40s and 50s. So that's where you're alternating 24 hours of fasting, a couple of days a week. Some people might do a 24-hour a day fast once every 2 days, or some people will do it every other day. So alternate day fasting. So you might eat on Monday, not eat on Tuesday, eat on Wednesday. This is a little bit more challenging, and you have to time it right as well. Like, am I going to start fasting after dinner and then have Tuesday's dinner, and then so on and so on? So it does require a little bit of thinking and planning. And then you have your 1 day per week fast, which is just 24 hours per week, 1 day. Then you have your 9th hour fast. So this is where we start to get into types of fast that people may not have heard about. So your 9th hour fast, 9th, 9th, that means have your first meal 9 hours after you wake and finish eating 3 hours later. So you literally have a 3-hour feeding window there, but you're not starting to eat in that 3 hours for 9 hours after you wake up. Then you have natural night fasting. And this is a strange title, but it basically means stop eating an hour or two before sunset. Which, I mean, I recommend people doing anyway. That's what our ancestors generally did. They wouldn't eat after sunset. They were asleep then. They were only eating and out hunting. Obviously, depending on which ancestors you're talking about. But when you start looking at the ancestral diet and our primal ancestors, they were hunting and scavenging and whatever during the sunlight or daylight, and then once sunset they were asleep. So that's the natural night fasting. Not a lot of people will talk about doing this, but you will hear a lot of people doing like the 16-8, the time restricted feeding, but they're doing it in an early feeding window. So it's like early time restricted feeding, and they're not eating after sunset. So it kind of a manipulation on the whole thing. And then we have the warrior fast. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Carla. Hi, Krista. I'm sorry to cut into my speech. So next we have the warrior fast, and I use and recommend the warrior fast a lot. I think it's a great tool. I really do. Just before I go on, fasting is not mandatory just because you hear people are doing it and it's the new hot thing. And it's not even the new hot thing anymore. It's been popular for ages now. It doesn't mean you have to do it, and you don't need to feel guilty if you don't want to do it. Some people just don't like fasting. It makes them uncomfortable. They just don't like it. Some people struggle to do it because maybe they have some metabolic and blood sugar issues or whatever. So everyone's individual. But I do recommend the warrior fast a lot. And the warrior fast is designed around what I was just saying about our ancestors, and they would go hunting during the day. So the warrior fast is where you fast for 20 hours from your last meal or your calorie consumption, and then you break your fast. And most people will time it that they'll only have one meal. It really depends on timing here. So if your last calorie consumption was 8 p.m. on a Saturday night and you warrior fast on Sunday, then your meal is going to be at 4 p.m. Like, you're going to break that fast at 4 p.m. Now, it'll really depend on the person then if that'll be their first meal of the day or their only meal of the day. It really depend on like their feeding window and everything. But we'll come to how you break a fast towards once I go through the list. But a warrior fast is something I really like. If someone's already doing 16-8, you're really only asking them to keep themselves occupied or their mind distracted for another 3 hours. 20 hours to some people can seem like a lot, but if you take in sleeping, let's say you do it on the weekend and you sleep in late on Sunday, like, you can do it to work in your favor. And when someone does it and they thought they couldn't do it, it really gives them a great sense of accomplishment and confidence, and wow, I could do that. Like, I can't believe I did it and I survived. So really, this warrior fast or the 20-hour fast would be, I would say, your next step after the 16-8. That would be your next step. And some people love to take that next step. Some people don't. Some people want to take a giant leap and go straight into like a 36 hours. Again, all of this is very individual. I don't want people to feel like they have to fast. Like, you don't have to do a ketogenic diet because people are talking about it. You don't have to jump off a cliff because people are talking about it. But it's good to be educated on it. So the next one is called the Fast 5. And that means you limit your eating window to 5 hours. Again, you need to have a good nutritional template. Many of you will agree with me. Like, you don't need 5 hours to go off the rails and consume everything in sight. You could do that in 30 minutes. So nutrition, again, is key here. The next one is Feast Fast. This one is more popular in the health industry than many of you will have heard of. This is actually quite popular, especially around some of the bodybuilding health professionals that you will see on like YouTube or whatever. Like, for example, Thomas DeLauer, he will practice this. So the Feast Fast means that you feast one day. Like, you just eat ad libitum, like as much as you want, whatever you want, without any consideration. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend eating whatever you want, but if you do good nutrition, you eat as much as you want, like without counting calories or anything like that. And then the next day you fast, and then you do that again, and then you fast. And a lot of the recommendations in the health industry will be like on these feasting days, that's where you're going to do your heaviest lifts, your heaviest workouts, your most intense workouts. You're going to just like move a lot on that day, and then the fasting day will be more like recovery day. You'll still do some sort of movement, but it won't be intense or your hardest lifting day. So that is popular, but unless you're like following these health professionals, you probably haven't heard too much about it. Okay, so then the next, OMAD, or 1 meal a day. OMAD, 1 meal a day. So you basically fast and you have one large meal a day, usually consumed in the evening. I see pros and cons here of this. Again, you have to be very nutritional focused, because you could agree with me, one large meal per day, I'm going to order in a large pizza and some ice cream. Like, you have to be cognizant. There are testimonies to say this type of eating works really well for people with gastric issues and gut, and can really help with healing IBS and stuff like that. But then you have to look at the other side of the coin. If you're fasting for, let's just say, 23 hours of the day, and you have 1 hour to really sit down and enjoy this one meal, what's going to be in that meal? It needs to be something that's nourishing, that's easy to digest, that's not going to stress your gut even more. We'll go into more of that when I get to the negatives of fasting. But OMAD is popular. You've probably heard of that one. There's a lot of talk about that. Then you have 36-hour fasting. 36 it's a favorite of mine. I like it. It's an active discipline for me. It helps me really gain control when things are maybe out of control, or maybe I know I've got a very busy day, and if I have to worry about cooking and eating, that's just going to be more stress. So this day I'm just going to fast from the previous dinner until not the next day, but the following morning's breakfast. So I really like 36-hour fasting. For me to break it at a 24-hour fast, I'm like, well, if I've got to 24 hours, I'm just going to go to bed and keep going. So and there's a lot of research around 36 hours. 36 hours really starts to show that sweet spot for the benefits of fasting, especially for fat burning. But if you're going to do something like that, you really need to work with a health professional, anyone, just someone who can make sure that you're doing it right and not causing any damage, which we'll get to shortly. Then one that my new master's group tried last week, and let me know if I'm shouting at you. I have my microphone plugged in, and sometimes it's really hit and miss. So the next one is going to be spot fasting. My master's guide just tried this last week or the week before, and they really enjoyed it. And this could be a great tool to show people, like, if you miss a meal, you're not going to die, but you do have to make sure you're getting or meeting nutritional requirements in the rest of the day or in your other meals. So spot fasting basically means that you skip 1 or 2 meals a week randomly, maybe 3 meals depending on your lifestyle, but you have to make sure you're not causing nutritional deficiencies. Spot fasting is a good tool. There's a lot, these are tools. They teach you what you can do, what you can't do. You're not going to die. It's not going to be the end of the world. Before I go on with the list, one thing people don't consider around fasting is fasting can remove a lot of stress from your body when done correctly, and even your mind. When you decide you're going to fast, You don't need to stress about what am I going to make for dinner? What am I going to make for lunch? Did I take the chicken out? Do I have green vegetables? Like, you don't have to stress. Then you don't have to allocate the time to cook. So you're not stressing like, oh, I have to prepare this, this, and this. So you don't have the planning, you don't have the cooking. It can save you money because if you're fasting, you're obviously going to consume less food. So fasting can remove a lot of stress for people. There's a lot of people out there. Now, I'm not saying fast. I'm saying this is a tool. This class is educational. But there's a lot of people out there who find cooking and preparing food and shopping and even eating very stressful. So if you can take away some of that stress, that can be very helpful to them on many levels. But then there's some people who fasting can be stressful, so we'll get to that. But there is that stress aspect where it can be beneficial. Then the next fast on the list is skip dinner fast. It's kind of a variation of spot fasting. You just skip dinner a couple of days a week or whatever you like to do it. I know, who is it? Oh, some doctor I follow, he just never has dinner. He has breakfast and lunch and he doesn't have dinner at all. So that would be skip dinner fast, but he's doing it daily. And the next one I said is called intermittent fasting, which was what we spoke about in the beginning, about that 16-8. But intermittent fasting is really about throwing in intermittent fasts. So maybe 24-hour fast on a Monday, and then on Friday you do a 36-hour fast. Just an example. So that would be intermittent, like more sporadic. There's no real structure. It's just when you feel like it, you're going to fast. Then you have water fasting, which is generally 24 to 72 hours of just water. This is where things get more extreme and can be harder for people just to have water, and we'll get into this more. So this can be done up to 120 hours or 5 days, but you definitely need to do it alongside a health professional with the support of your practitioner or something. And if you are going to do water fasting, you absolutely have to make sure you're adding in some sort of minerals or electrolytes there. Electrolytes you got to be a bit more careful with because they usually will come with flavors or additives or something like that, but you can get trace minerals or just add sea salt. So that's water fasting, which is a bit more extreme. A lot of people are not going to do that. And then the next one, so take it to the next extreme, that's going to be dry fasting. Dry fasting is generally not done for more than 3 days. You don't do it for more than 3 days. And it basically is zero food, zero fluids, not even water, nothing. You're just fasting. I have not done that, in full transparency. It seems very difficult to me. Water fasting I've done. I can do that. At least give me water. I don't like feeling dehydrated. I don't like my mouth getting dry. Dry fasting is nothing I have any desire to do. Maybe I've done it when I've been sick before. You know, when you get those stomach bugs and you can't keep anything down. But even at that, I think I was like an hour into it. I need some water. So they're quite extreme. You might want to do them, not for me. And then less extreme, we have juice fasting. So that's 24 to 72 hours of just juice. It could be juice vegetables, juice fruit. There is a caveat on this as well. You have to make sure you're adding in minerals. I shared a study last week in the group, in the biohacking group, about this woman who did a juice fast, but she deprived her brain of all minerals, and she gave herself brain damage. So minerals are more important than people realize. The next one then is a bone broth fast. A lot of people like to do this. Bone broth fast can be pretty good. The bone broth can be like a crutch for people. So that's 24 to 36 hours of fasting with just bone broth. You can obviously, many people can see the benefits of this when they consider gut repair. People have heard the benefits of bone broth and how it can be very healing and supporting and regenerative to the gut. Not just because it's bone broth, it's what's in it. You've got the amino acids, you've got minerals, you've got fat molecules in there. Full transparency for anyone that hasn't tried bone broth, it doesn't taste great at all, in my opinion. But you can add stuff to it to make it taste better. But if you're doing a bone broth fast, you might want to be careful with what you're adding to the bone broth. Some people love bone broth and they think it tastes amazing. It depends on where you get it or what you make or whatever. And some people not so much. Like me, I'll drink it, but it's not my favorite thing to drink. And then some clients, when they try bone broth, they're like, oh my god, how'd you drink this? And I'm like, I know, but you can add some stuff to it. You'll still get the benefits if you add some stuff to your bone broth. The next one, only my clients will probably have heard of this, and that's the mono fast. So a mono fast can be amazing. I've seen great things happen doing mono fasts. Usually when I recommend a mono fast, I do it with apples, ideally organic Granny Smith apples. So mono basically means that you're fasting with only one type of food consumed for the length of that fast. So a bone broth fast would be considered a mono fast. If you just have apples while you're fasting, that's a mono fast. If you just add pomegranate, that would be a mono fast. So that's the idea. But really, when I do it, I recommend clients do it with organic Granny Smith apples for many reasons, but it can be very effective for gut issues, like very effective. Well, you'll understand more as I go on in regards to that. So then the next one is the macronutrient restriction fast, and we're nearly there. I know there's a lot of different variations. So macronutrient restriction, again, usually 22 to 72 hours, and that's you're fasting while restricting one macronutrient. So that you could be fasting and totally eliminating carbs. So maybe a low carb diet for 3 days, like no carbs at all, extreme low carb. Or maybe you'll eliminate meat, protein. So yeah, that's the macronutrient restriction fast, which will bring us to the Daniel fast. But before that, I want to go to the monk fast. So the monk fast is a variation of the 36-hour fast, but it's a little bit stricter. Participants generally only consume water for that 36 hours, whereas in your regular 36-hour fast, I will allow people to have black coffee, lemon water, black teas, a few different things that can be beneficial to the fast overall. It won't break a fast, but it can bring in different benefits, like dandelion tea can be very helpful for people who have liver issues when they're fasting, and just make sure that bile production doesn't go off kilter and stuff like that. So this monk fast came from the idea of the monks fasting, and it basically is just water fasting, like 0 calories and not even calorie free beverages at all. It's just 36 hours of water. So in a sense, it is a water fast. Okay, so then last on the list, like this list is quite extensive. It really is the most fasting variations there is. Like, fasting is not just abstinence or avoidance of foods. Fasting can obviously be like what we see at length when we avoid, maybe you avoid alcohol, maybe I'm not going to watch horror films for 40 days, maybe I'm not going to curse for 40 days. Like, fasting is just abstinence of something, but what we're talking about is obviously the health and food aspect of things. But fasting can be loads of stuff. I'm not going to walk for 40 days. Don't do that though. You should walk, but you get what I mean. So the next one then is the Daniel fast. The Daniel fast comes from the prophet Daniel in the book of Daniel, of course, one of the books of the Bible, where Daniel refused to eat the food of the king that was offered as a sacrifice to false idols. It's basically a vegan diet, but a lot more strict. So this type of fasting, which can evolve into a diet, like there are some people that just eat like this, if you were to do that, in my opinion, you absolutely will need some supplementation in there. Back when Daniel did this fast, they obviously weren't testing for nutritional deficiencies. They didn't have a lot of the science and research and information that we have now. So if you're doing the Daniel diet now, you would need supplementation. But the Daniel fast, not only is it abstinence of certain foods, which I'll tell you about, but it also includes praying or spending some of your day with God, really working on your spiritual health and well-being and trying to connect with your higher power. And with the Daniel fast, you're also encouraged to perform with excellence daily, like Daniel did. He basically wanted to prove, like, I'm not going to eat any of this food that you've killed as a sacrifice to false idols, which was animals and stuff. And I'm going to show you that I can still be optimal and perform just as good as you without that. So that's why you're encouraged to perform with excellence daily when doing this fast. So it sounds extreme, but for some people it's great. Some people really enjoy it. So with the Daniel fast, you'll do this for 10 to 21 days. So you have quite an option. So let's say you do 10 and then you decide, like, I really like this, I feel really good. Go for the 21. Once you do the 21, hey, this could be my lifestyle, or oh my God, I hate this. So it doesn't have to be 21 days straight away. You could just do 10, but they do need to be consecutive days as well. So with this, it was basically you weren't to eat any proteins, any animal products, except just like the vegan diet, but it's stricter. The only beverage you can have on the Daniel fast is water. That's it. Just water. And then you were having fresh or frozen vegetables, but you couldn't have canned. You can't have canned vegetables and can't have canned beans. You could have fresh or cooked fruits. Ideally, you were recommended to have low glycemic fruits like stone fruits, apples, berries, cherries, all that sort of stuff. It does get very particular, like you can't have canned, but you can have dried, but if you have dried, you can't have any sulfites in it or added oils or sweeteners. In the Daniel fast, the original one, they recommend that you have whole grains. That's obviously not what I would recommend. When I say obviously, for those of you that know me and work with me, I wouldn't recommend that. But if you were having grains, you would want them sprouted or fermented. So you're still doing the grain aspect, you're just making them sprouted or fermented, which still completely falls within the guidelines there for sure. And the same with nuts and seeds, you can have them, but have some of them sprouted as well to make sure you're getting that nutrition, but you're not allowed any salt on them. And then beans and legumes, you can have them dried or cooked in water, but not from a can as well. So it's quite restrictive, and no animal products at all, like no meats, no cheese, no yogurts, no milks, like nothing from an animal. So you could totally do some fermented, maybe some sauerkraut, maybe some pickles, to vary things up. But some people really like this. Some people really like that type of fast, and they do evolve it into their lifestyle. So is there any questions so far? I'm going to get into a bit more of, we're going to go into dirty fasting versus clean fasting. So dirty fasting versus clean fasting. So your clean fast is generally what I would encourage people to do. It's where whatever amount of time you're not eating for, You can have water. You can have mineral water. I hate having a dry mouth. You can have black coffee. You can have black teas. And what I mean there is not just your black tea like your English breakfast or Irish or Earl Grey. You have just like teas with nothing in it, so your herbal teas. You can have lemon water, totally won't break a fast. Apple cider vinegar, luckily enough, it won't break a fast. You can have some sea salt in water, won't break a fast. A lot of electrolytes won't break a fast either. So that would be your clean fast. They're all like allowed and would be considered a clean fast. So you're still getting all the benefits of a fast, but you're getting extra benefits because all of these different like approved liquids, they have benefits. For instance, San Pellegrino, if you're sipping on that throughout the day, you're getting an extremely clean water, but you're getting a nice trickle of minerals, elemental bioavailable minerals all day. Black coffee, very good for stomach acid and bile production, very rich in polyphenols, can be great for cognitive performance. Dandelion tea, if you're having a dandelion tea, it's going to be great for the liver, the kidneys, fluid retention, gallbladder, bile production. So you're having these fluids, but they're adding to the benefits of your fast because they're giving you like extra medicine. So that would be my variation of a clean fast. And then when it comes to a dirty fast, and I'm sorry, my cat is shedding and they always land on my nose for some reason. So if you ever see me like rubbing my nose in a video, you know somewhere there's cat hair. So then your dirty fast is going to be, I would consider a dirty fast as a crutch. Some people really struggle to say, not have their first meal until 10 a.m. in the morning. Like they struggle because they're used to eating as soon as they wake up. So in that sense, we want to give them a little bit of a crutch, a little bit of help. So that's where you can have some sort of food that's under 50 calories, but that has almost no insulin response at all. So for some people that might be a coffee with some heavy cream. For other people it might be a couple of macadamia nuts. For someone else it might be a tablespoon of cream cheese or almond butter or something. It's just a little crutch. And sometimes I'll see people will try for like a 36-hour or 24-hour and they're doing great, but they just need little something, say halfway through that fast, so they'll have a tablespoon of nut butter and that's just enough to get them through. Or they might have, might have a handful of walnuts or something like that. And the dirty fast can also be used in the evening in extreme circumstances where you're extremely hungry before bed and you know there's a chance that you're starving, that this hunger is going to wake you up during the night and will potentially cause you to have an adrenaline spike while you're asleep, which then will spike cortisol. You'll wake up during the night and you won't be able to fall back asleep for an hour or two. And there's nothing you can do about it because you're not going to go eat in the middle of the night. I hope. Don't do that. So it's not that it's anxiety, say, waking you up. It's still adrenaline and cortisol, but it's because you're so hungry. And you'll know because you'll wake up and you'll be like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. Like you will know. You're like, I should have had that handful of walnuts before bed. That would have saved me all this hassle. Now I'm not getting the benefits of fasting because I'm awake for 2 hours and I'm stressed. So you have to find this balance. You have to understand the pros and the cons. I was saying this to a client earlier. Sparkling water from a at-home soda stream, Margie, that's just water with carbon in it. You can have that. That's totally approved. It wouldn't be as good as San Pellegrino, but you could totally have it, and that would be fine on a clean fast. Even dirty fast, I get, would be fine. It's just water. It's just water with carbon in it. So dirty fast can be really helpful. Before I do move on from that, like it's important for people to understand everyone wants to do things perfectly and get all the results and everything. So ideally, for optimal results, most of your fat burning happens when you sleep. As long as you've put yourself into the correct scenario, then your healing and regeneration, you grow new muscle, you grow hair, skin, nails, brain cells. Most of that happens when you're asleep. So most people want to sleep amazing so they get all the maximum effects of the fast. But if you go to bed starving, and the key word is starving, not a little bit peckish or hungry, like starving, and you wake up during the night because you're so hungry and you're awake there for 2 hours because you've got adrenaline and cortisol floating around your bloodstream, that negates the benefits of the fast. You've just destroyed it. Whereas if you had a couple of walnuts before bed because you knew you were starving and you didn't want to risk destroying your sleep, that won't negate the benefits of the fast. It'll help you sleep all night. So you have to look at this balance. So if the client tells me, like messages me this evening and they're like, oh, I had my last meal at 4 and I'm starving now, what can I have? For example, I might say have 8 walnuts, for example. And then that's it. It's gone from my head. I'm not worried that's going to interfere with her fast or anything. She hopefully is not worried about it. Like that's almost irrelevant, having that small amount. But it benefits you in that it doesn't destroy sleep. Because it doesn't matter what fast you're doing, what way you're eating. If you mess up your sleep, sleep is number one. It'll be on my headstone, on my grave. Shemaine says sleep is number one. So I say it all the time. For a dirty fast, can you have a handful of almonds? Yeah. That was just an example. Something under dirty fast will be something that's less than 50 calories and that has pretty much no insulin response. So basically it's a fat. It'll be a fat. There is a slight exception when you kind of get into berries and stuff, but I don't want to confuse you there. So just think of it as a fat. So almonds would be yes. Even though a lot of people consider almonds a protein, almonds are more a fat than they are a protein. So that makes them a fat. This is a natural macro crossover, but they're a fat. Okay. Fasting negatives. And then we're going to get into fasting, breaking a fast. We might go a few minutes over, but it'll be all worth it. So fasting negatives. For some people, fasting can be an added stress to them. If they're already stressed up to their eyeballs with whatever's happening, let's just say their marriage is falling apart. That will cause a lot of anxiety. Fasting can be an added stress there. For some people, it can be great. It can help them control eating in such a stressful time, but it can be an added stress regardless. If you exercise a lot, very heavy, very hard, lots of weight training, lots of CrossFit, like very heavy and hard, that then, if you fast, that can be an added stressor and can push you over the edge if you're not careful into adrenal exhaustion, because you're training very heavy and hard. And then you're fasting, which means you're already in a calorie deficit. And usually when people are in this scenario, they're already compromising nutrition somewhere. Maybe they're not eating enough calories when they are eating, or maybe they're missing the proper macro balance, or it could be because they're like overtraining and over fasting that then they crash and then they go for sugar and then they're caught in this vicious cycle. There's one of you, if you watch this, you know I'll talk about that. I'm talking about you. So fasting can be an added stressor. You have to be careful with that. That goes back to sleep and nutrition, and then listening to your body when you need a rest from exercise. Don't be afraid, because exercise is a stress. Yes, it's a good stress at times, but too much of it is going to be a bad stress. Now, there's also some other considerations, and I've spoken about this with my master's group, is that for people that do have gastric issues, which generally is caused from stress, and I'm not specifically talking about SIBO, but it can be relevant. So SIBO being small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So some people, when they fast And this is where I use a mono diet, and it works like a charm every time. It's amazing. It's like amazing. The client will message me the next day and they'll be like, "You're a genius," and I'm like, "It works. It's amazing." So what? No, actually, I didn't learn this per se anywhere. Like, I didn't read this or I wasn't told this. I came upon this from my own experience working with clients and what I was seeing happening. So there's some people who, when they fast, they already have gastric issues in that they've issues digesting. Maybe they get some sort of IBS response when they eat, they get bloating, farting, gas, some diarrhea. Then when they fast, what happens is, because they already have issues with stomach acid and enzymes, when they fast, they just plummet even more because you're not stimulating your body to make enzymes or acid. So then they feel fine when they're fasting, but as soon as they bring in foods, it's a disaster. They will have like diarrhea and IBS and terrible spasms, like they won't be able to sleep or anything. It's just like their body's rejecting food because they just have no enzymes or stomach acid from the fast. So they feel great when they're fasting, but as soon as they bring back in food, all hell breaks loose. So some people will have it very extreme. Cat hair again. Some people have very extreme and some people not so much, but it's still pretty bad. It's like they'll fast and then when they eat, they just have diarrhea or looser stools. Like they have to run to the bathroom straight away. So they mightn't have the pain aspect, but they'll still have the diarrhea and running to the bathroom aspect. But I have had clients who are crippled in pain. They're crying. They can't walk because just your intestines are just going nuts. And when you have them not fast, like eventually you can get them to where they're doing a clean 24 or 36 hour fast, but for the first few times they do these extended fasts, if you have them consume a couple of Granny Smith apples throughout the day when they're fasting, so that would be a mono fast or a mono diet, those apples, Granny Smith apples, are amazing. So the tartness of them, for one, is going to stimulate the vagus nerve, which is going to stimulate HCl and bile acids. Then apples are very rich in enzymes. So not only are you stimulating your body to make its own enzymes through the vagus nerve and the juices and the bitter tartness of it, you're giving your body enzymes, but then you're also bringing in the fiber and the pectin, which helps to feed the good bacteria in your gut or your intestines. So then, like, this works wonders. So then the next day when they bring in food, it's like nothing. There's no response. Like, that's how good it is. So this is one of the negatives, though, that people need to be aware of. If you already have stomach issues, you have to be careful. And then the next negative is you can cause gallbladder issues with fasting. Not everyone. Some people who are sensitive or who already have gallbladder issues, you can cause gallbladder issues with fasting. And again, don't panic. It's not everyone, but some people. Because when, apart from what I just mentioned, that if you're fasting, you're not stimulating hydrochloric acid or stomach acid to be produced, which then is not stimulating the gallbladder to work properly. And if you're doing like a very long fast and you're exercising and you're optimal fat burner, you're going to be dumping a lot of fat into the body to be metabolized, like into the bloodstream, which will go through the liver and the gallbladder and all. So if you're dumping this fat into your bloodstream and you don't have any bile to emulsify it, now you've got higher amounts of fat or cholesterol compared to bile, and gallstones are bile and cholesterol combined to make the stones. So now you've got more cholesterol, but you don't have enough bile. So in this instance, having someone fast, but you could do the mono diet, like the apples, like I said, or you could do a couple of shots of apple cider vinegar across the day. I say shots, but you could add apple cider vinegar to water, or you could do lemon juice and water, sip on some dandelion tea throughout your fast, which is going to stimulate bile production as well. You could suck on a lemon. Like, this will still be a clean fast, but you're just kind of keep saying, hey, body, produce some stomach acid and bile. Like, your body thinks you're going to eat because you're stimulating it through these foods, but you're not eating. So then, like, it's eating you, basically. It's eating your body fat, but you're stimulating that bile production to kind of offset any problems. So there are some negatives to fasting. And some of the signs that you're over fasting, apart from the gastric and the gallbladder issue, like I've spoken about gallbladder symptoms a couple of times, there's posts in here. The gastric issues are going to be pretty obvious to you. Apart from people who don't like to fast, or they're uncomfortable, or they have blood sugar issues, they'll feel bad going into a fast. They'll start to feel lightheaded or irritable. That's all blood sugar issues. They feel like they're starving. These are all blood sugar issues. But when we look at over fasting, we would look at everything else in your lifestyle. But once you start seeing extreme irritability, weepiness, brain fog will come in, sleep issues, you may start to miss a period, or your menstrual cycle will start going a bit crazy. You might experience some hair loss. Stuff like this is going to say, maybe we need to take a break from fasting for a while. Maybe even depression or anxiety will increase, but I say maybe because that will also depend on your nutritional template when you're eating as well. So heavy cream, dirty fast, tuned in late. Yes, coffee with cream would break a fast. Coffee with cream would be your dirty fast. Cheyenne, it's me. I'm always like, okay, dirty fast. Yes, you had the answer, Julianne. Okay, so those are the negatives, and now let's get to breaking a fast, and then we'll get to some questions. So we probably go 10 or 15 minutes over, but I don't care because I knew this was going to be a good fast class, and I think we've covered like a lot of things so far. I'm not getting into the benefits of fasting too much because I think everybody knows most of that, like the main ones being anti-aging, cellular repair and cleanup, anti-cancer is a big one, brain health, fat burning, like those would be the main ones. It can be great for immune system as well. So breaking a fast is really important for people to understand. So a couple of things with breaking a fast. You have to understand, apart from if you have gastric issues or not, the same way everybody has stress nowadays, like everybody, nobody's exempt. You see any health professional out there and you think they look amazing and they've got it all. No, everybody has stress. We all have stress. Nobody has their shit in order at all. Everybody is dealing with something. So with that said, I really believe everybody has gut issues, because really you can't have a stressful life without having some sort of gut issues. How we each perceive gut issues is going to be different. The same way how we each perceive pain. You could stab me in the leg, I might be fine. Stab you in the leg and you might be crying. Like, so how we perceive gut issues is going to be different. But regardless, if you fast and you have not had food in your stomach, in your gut for a certain amount of time, in that time your gut, your intestines, your colon, stomach, the whole lot of it has been doing a lot of healing and regeneration during that time. So when you introduce food, again, when you break a fast, if you're not smart, that food could end up causing more damage. So this isn't really relevant for the 16-8 people, so please don't panic. This is not really relevant to you at all. This is more like your 20 hours or more. So you've done 20 hours of not eating. Now the first meal you bring in, you need to be very cognizant of this meal. So I don't want to bring in anything that's going to stress my gut even more, which means you want to bring in some food. Your first meal is going to be something easily digested and smooth, so it can just kind of wake up your digestive system and say, hey, there's more food coming, let's get this show on the road. So it could be, this is an example, it could be a smoothie, it could be some soup, it could be some mashed potato, it could be a soft yogurt, like something easy to digest and smooth, basically. It could just be a protein shake with some cinnamon in it, because I always say put cinnamon in your protein shake. And then you'd wait like 30 minutes before you'd have anything else. My clients, I might say like you wait 3 or 4 hours, but for average people, if you were to do this, you break your fast with something easy to digest but also nutritious as well. So some of my clients will break like a warrior fast, and if it's their dinner time, they will have like mashed potato with boiled broccoli, some boiled shredded chicken, a little bit of butter, and that will be very nutritious and soothing to them. Don't ask about the butter. That's different, Julianne, before you start to panic. That was just an example. So then you also want to make sure, now this is really important, because you've gone so long without food in your gut, you start to tilt your bacterial profile in a more positive, in a more desirable direction. You start to make your gut bacteria healthier. Your gut bacteria, your microbiome, changes very, very, very fast. Just look at how fast, if you eat something stale or you get food poisoning, that's coming straight back up or out in like less than 30 minutes. You change your microbiome very fast. So when you fast, you are changing your microbiome in a more favorable direction. You're improving them. You're helping them become more resilient and grow and proliferate. So if you then come in, you can watch it on replay, Carolyn. You can watch this once we're finished on replay, and then I'll upload it to the YouTube channel. Sorry to confuse everyone. You've fasted. You've put your bacteria in a good position. And we want to encourage that for loads of reasons. Many of us have gut issues, but good bacteria leads to good practices and fat burning and loads of good things. So you also, when you break a fast, you have to make sure that whatever you're consuming is rich in polyphenols. So polyphenols are generally found in your bitter, tart, sour foods. So cinnamon, if you made a protein shake and you added cinnamon and even some pumpkin spice into that, you've got polyphenols in there. Apple cider vinegar, rich in polyphenols. Dark chocolate, amazing for polyphenols. So if you had like the smooth yogurt to break your fast and you add in cacao powder and cinnamon and ginger and whatever else, you're getting the polyphenols there, because you want to encourage those bacteria to continue to be good and not be bad. Like if you break your fast, I'm going to get to this in regards to refeeds. If you break your fast and you straight away come in with a donut and macchiato, then you're immediately just feeding them sugar, and they're going to be bad. Like the bad bacteria will then proliferate because they feed on sugar, and the good guys will get nothing and they'll just be beat up by the bad guys and then they'll die off. So we want to constantly be encouraging the good guys. There's so much research around having a higher ratio of good bacteria for fat loss, for performance, for anti-aging, for immunity, for hormones, for everything. So having some polyphenols in that first meal, I think, is very, very important, and it can be done in many ways, like very, very easily. And then, because I know this question's coming up, what about breaking a fast with a refeed? Most people don't fast before their refeed. One girl pops to my mind. I'll do long fasts on a Friday, but I'm me and I know what to do, so that's an exception. So everyone is different. Some people won't have gastric issues after a long fast if they break it with a heavy meal. But some people will. Like, everybody's different. But that doesn't mean it's okay to just jump straight in and have a heavy meal or a refeed meal to break your fast. Even though some people will, it doesn't mean that it's okay. I generally, and most of my clients know this, that I will teach my clients about offsetting foods and meals, and if they're having a refeed, they need to make sure they're having their offsetting foods in there. So even on a refeed day, my clients are still doing like their morning routine. They're getting their polyphenols, they're having lemon juice, they're having green tea, they're having their coffee, they're having their dark chocolate. Most of my clients still do that before they go anywhere near a refeed meal. So we're still doing what I said, still having those polyphenols, still bringing in something kind of smooth and soft and nutritious to stimulate the production of the enzymes, the bile, the stomach acid, all of that. So I went through a lot there. This video will be kept in here. I'll also upload it on my YouTube channel for you to watch again and take notes. But I went through all the fasting variations. Went through the Daniel fast, the monk fast versus 36-hour fast. We looked at dirty fast versus clean fast, the fasting negatives. If you're very, very, very stressed and overtraining and God forbid something terrible happens, you might not want to fast. That's probably not the best time to fast. And then we spoke about breaking a fast. There's one other thing that I will throw in there, and I recommend this to most of my clients. A lot of them do it, but a lot of people don't want to do it. And that's if you're going on the plane. It's very, very beneficial to fast on a flight. Even though a lot of people don't like to do it because they're like, oh, I'm on a flight, I'm going to watch a movie, read a book, and have some snacks. It's more beneficial to fast on a flight than to not. It protects your immune system. It keeps inflammation and swelling low. It really is beneficial. Even on long drives, it can make a big difference. Okay, so does anyone have questions apart from what was already asked? If you don't, I know I've done a really good job. So, otherwise, if you do, we'll wait a minute for you to type them in the comments, and then we'll go. Is it okay to fast in perimenopause? Yes, definitely. Like 100%. But I know you missed the start of this class. So at the start I mentioned the following a good nutritional template. That's important. I've done videos literally saying my most successful clients are my older clients. Clients in perimenopause and then into menopause, because their hormones, we think that, oh my God, when a woman gets older and she's going through perimenopause and menopause, it's a nightmare. I can't lose weight. My hormones, this and that. No. Because your hormones are changing, we can use that in our favor, especially when you understand as women get older. And this is just the way it is. Sorry, people, I didn't make up the rules. This is just biology. As women get older, we become less insulin sensitive, and we also are less obviously able to tolerate carbs as well. So we can only have a certain amount of carbs as we get older. Now there's exceptions with women who are very muscular, and there's a lot of women out there, like, there's always exceptions to the rule, but you can absolutely definitely fast. But again, Carolyn, when you watch the start of this class, you'll understand more. It'll be a lot more clear to you. Helen, thank you so much for such an informative video. A great reminder on what to do for a fast and the new information you provided. Yeah, this is, Helen, this is stuff I've always been saying, but again, people are so busy, they just need reminders. And I figured something like this, to have all the fasting information in one spot, would be helpful for people. Any more questions? Awesome. Being an older client, I love these tips. Well, Krista, being an older client, and when did you start with me? Just before the summer, and you're down, what, 30 pounds? I would think we're probably on the right track. So, but these videos as well, you can share with your friends, because like this information is applicable to everybody. People want to fast, they read about fasting, but they don't know all these little different details. I do love my clean long fasts. Samantha, yes, and you're an example of that mono fast that we did with the apple, and it worked incredible for you. I'm still like patting myself on the back for that, because it was just like, I think I was doing my makeup and I was like thinking, because I'm always thinking, and I was like, oh my god, this is what's happening to Samantha. And I'd kind of said it to you a few times before, but really it was like I was doing my eyeliner or something, and I had that aha moment, and I was like, this is what's happening, this is what we'll do, and it worked out great. Leanne, I'm glad you got to watch it. You're not an old dog. None of us are old. Age is just a number. Alison, you're welcome. Margie, is there benefits to trying different fasts? Yes, there is. For most people, it's going to be easier to just try that 16-8 first with the dirty fast tools. I gave you 16-8 with the dirty fast tools. Then the next progression is usually 16-8 without the dirty fast. So that would be a clean fast. And then once you've done that for a while, a couple of weeks, and everyone's different. Some people will jump into a warrior fast really fast, but some people won't. They'll need a couple of weeks to get used to this structure and going without food for a certain amount of times. But there's definitely benefits in varying fasts, for sure, because your body can adapt. No matter what you do, you'll adapt to exercise, you'll adapt to eating certain foods, you'll adapt to sleep, which is good. When you adapt to sleep and wake times, that's good. We want that. But the other adaptations we have to be aware of. Your metabolism will adapt. So you can adapt to fasting. And that's where you might stop seeing maybe benefits of fasting and you just want to shake things up a bit. So in that instance, you might stop fasting for maybe 2 weeks. And then you'll come back and just go straight into, say, 36-hour fast. That obviously sounds extreme, but at that stage, we would hope you'd have some sort of support. You'd be working with somebody to kind of walk you and talk you through it. Anything else? I love the 36-hour fast after reading. Except when Wallace makes popcorn, right, Krista? Dandelion tea all day, every day. I've spoke about my gallbladder acting up the last few weeks with stress. So I've been like literally having 3 to 4 cups of dandelion a day, which may not seem like a lot to people, but I also have green tea in my day. I also have reishi tea. Sometimes I'll have chaga tea. Always have my tulsi tea. Also have my mushroom coffee. But that's why I was sipping here, because I'm just finishing my last dandelion tea of the day. Man, it doesn't taste any better to me, but I just do it because it's good for me. Anything else? Anything else? While I'm on a roll, I'm happy to answer some questions. And once I hang up, I will upload that PDF for you to have. Okay, I'll give it another few seconds. Fasting, while we're here, I'll talk about it. For me, many of you know of my personal journey with my own health obstacles, and then I lost the weight, and you're always going to be challenged. Look, we're always going to be challenged with everything. So I hit my goal weight in 2008. But that doesn't mean it's any easier. I still need to practice discipline every day. I constantly have to be aware. I need to have control. Fasting is definitely a control tool. That can be good and bad. I'm not negligible to both sides of the coin here. But when I do fast, it really does give me back control and does give me that sense of accomplishment and reminds me of what I am capable of as well. And then, of course, you get the healing, regeneration, anti-inflammatory benefits, anti-aging, skin, hair, and nails, all of that stuff. We all have our different reasons for fasting. We all do, but it really can show, especially women, what you are capable of. It can really distill or instill that sense of confidence and self-trust. Like, I can trust myself. I've done this. I know I can do this. So, and these are powerful tools to have. Last week my bloat was getting better, but we are back to bad pain, so I'm going to go have one. Could be the fat. Could be fat, Julianne, for sure. Could be eating too close together. Maybe you need to eat smaller meals. Could be a few different things with the gallbladder. It could be time to increase the hydrochloric acid before your meal. Krista, before your meal. Okay. One more, and then we'll leave it. One more. Anyone else ask me anything? It doesn't have to be fasting, but try not make it personal. If you are doing soda streams, make sure you add in some sea salt or some lemon juice or something, just to make sure you're getting those extra minerals. Okay, somebody type fast, so I have one more question, and then we're going. It's almost bedtime. We're telling a new client earlier, we were talking about bedtimes, and I was like, who am I kidding? I'm usually in bed by 8:30. I'm like, totally start my evening routine after this. So, important reminder, even if you're fasting, try not to go to bed like starving. There's a difference between a bit peckish and a little bit hungry. That's fine. You'll be fine. But if you're like starving and you know, like, oh, like I need something to eat, you'll know. Try not to do that. Use the dirty fast. Night, Krista. Okay, no more questions. I'll let everyone go. Have a great night. I hope you enjoyed this. As soon as I hang up, I will upload the PDF. If any more questions do pop up, comment them below. I'll come back and check in the morning, or maybe later on, then I'll answer them. So have a great evening, everyone. Thank you for spending some time with me. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll schedule another free class soon. Okay, bye-bye, everyone.